For the past few years, I have been testing the world's best longevity therapies to pose the question, are we the first generation who won't die? But there's one therapy I haven't tried, which scuba divers, stroke patients, and elite athletes use, and it could be one of the most promising therapies I've ever done. It's called Hyperbaric Oxygen Therapy. Now, this therapy may seem a bit exotic. It's actually more common than you think. Like sauna or cryotherapy, it is available in many cities, which makes it all the more exciting if this works. So my protocol is to complete 60 sessions in 90 days. I will be doing sessions of 90 minutes. So this is what I've decided to do. I'm going to measure myself extensively as a baseline to figure out where I'm at right now with my biomarkers. And then at the end of the 90 days, I'm going to measure the same markers again and see, did they improve, worsen, or stay the same? And that will give us evidence, is this an important therapy or is this some other overblown longevity therapy that doesn't deliver results? First step was installing a chamber. I knew if it was at some local clinic where it took a 15-minute drive to get there, I would never be able to spend the 5,400 minutes doing that. It would be too much time. I had to build it into my life routine where I could also work. So I had it installed in my clinic where I could do it every single day. Let me show you how I do this. First, turn on the power converter. All right, next is to turn on the pressurization. Flip this guy. All right, system with power, get the pressurization and the oxygen is now on. Now we're gonna turn the system on. And the controls we have are internal. So I can jump in there and start the session and end the session. So I'll hook these guys up. This is where the 100% oxygen comes from. Flip the mask. And then once this is done, I'll close the doors and start the pressurization. And it will go to 2 ATA, which is, equivalent to 10 meters or 33 feet below water. The increased pressure in the tank allows your body to be saturated with pure oxygen. More oxygen means faster healing, better mitochondrial function, and possibly slower aging. I'm using HPO for a few objectives. 1 is for longevity, 2 is for performance, and 3 is to potentially elongate my telomeres.
What are telomeres?
Telomeres are the protective caps at the ends of our chromosomes, like the tips of your shoelaces. As we age, they gradually shorten and fray. This shortening is linked to cellular aging and a wide range of age-related diseases. It's the ticking of your biological clock, a really important variable in longevity. Now, one study we referenced for this therapy was in an older population, the HPO was efficacious in increasing the length of telomeres by up to 38% and reducing senescent cells by up to 37%. Senescent cells emit what's called these pro-inflammatory cytokines. They're basically bad things you don't want in your body. In the longevity world, these are massive numbers. In looking at the data around HPO, a few things we found really encouraging. It had increased athletic performance without changing training or diet. For example, there was a 10 to 15% improvement in both VO2 max and anaerobic threshold, a 7 to 10% increase in grip strength, and a 9.2% increase in an Olympic triathlon time. There's also a lot of promise in improving tissue, skin health, and microbiome. HPO has the promise of whole body rejuvenation. 20 minutes pure oxygen, a 5-minute break, and then 20 minutes pure oxygen, 5-minute break. So you're going from high O2 to low O2. Now inside this chamber, oxygen remains at 21%, the same as our atmosphere. I'm breathing 100% oxygen through the mask. Now by day 5, I was beginning to worry. I had 5,400 minutes to spend in that chamber. I was only 5 days in, I wasn't seeing the benefits. I wondered, can I really pull this off? But the studies show that the gains accumulate over time, not in the beginning. Now, as we got started, we ran into a major problem. We initially had an oxygen concentrator, but it was only reaching about 92% oxygen, and we needed 100%. So while the chamber could get to 2 atmospheres, it was ready to go, we didn't yet have 100% pure oxygen. So to solve that problem, we sourced 100% oxygen medical grade canisters that we then connected to the chamber. When you first start doing HPO, it definitely is a unique experience. One, you're in a highly pressurized chamber, and it makes you wonder, what if something goes wrong? I live in California, there's a lot of earthquakes, and I wondered, if there's an earthquake, if I had to do something fast, how fast can I move? And so the fastest depressurization time from 2 atmospheres is around 2 minutes. A lot of my friends couldn't even get inside the chamber. They're too claustrophobic. Also, when you put on the mask, sometimes it can feel a little restricting. Where you breathe in, there's some resistance when you are doing the therapy, so there's some problems there. HBOT really tries you from claustrophobia, breathing, duration of time, and also, if you don't have anything to do, you're kind of left with your thoughts. I have to confess, by day 30, I was again questioning, am I really going to pull this off? My days are incredibly busy. I'm running 4 different companies. I have various therapies throughout the day, and I'm producing content to share the results with the world. And I wondered, can I really see this thing through? I wasn't sure. This is what changed this for me. When I realized I could safely have electronics inside the chamber, I could then begin working. Inside the chamber is 21% oxygen, which is the same as the atmosphere. That's why I can safely bring electronics inside here. And then it became part of a daily ritual that I actually look forward to every day, where I could work and focus on my most important things and be doing the therapy at the same time. In looking at the evidence, I was really curious on how HBOT might improve my skin. One study showed a 12.8% increase in collagen fiber density, a 144% increase in elastic fiber length, plus a reduction in fragmentation from 90% to 10%. And finally, a 40.9% increase in blood vessel count. What this therapy amounted to is the world's best whole body skin rejuvenation therapy. This is extremely hard to do with other methods. I know, we've looked at the evidence. It was also important because we have tried to fix the sun damage I incurred as a child, and we've had very little success. This entire thing could all have been for nothing, and I had invested a lot of time. I had spent 90 days, I had shifted my entire life to accommodate this therapy. I sat in this little teeny tiny cube, 5,400 minutes, and it was worth it. After completing 60 HBOT sessions, my biomarkers improved across my entire body. I think it's reasonable to say that HBOT is the most efficacious longevity therapy I've done since starting this endeavor. Now I'm going to read to you from this long list of biomarkers the things that improve, because I think it's actually worth going through each item. Normally I would just try to summarize in some succinct fashion, but actually I think this extended list is really worth your learning. So first, let me start with inflammation. This is a marker called high sensitivity CRP. You're looking at systematic inflammation across the entire body, and I had no detectable levels of systematic inflammation in my body. That is a wild result. Inflammation is oftentimes the biggest culprit of problematic disease and dysfunction inside the body. It's called inflammaging, and I had nothing in my body. So HBOT took inflammation in my body to 0. To VEGF, this is a signal that boosts the growth of blood vessels. So I had a 300% increase in VEGF, which is signaling the increase of this blood vessel growth. You may not realize, but you have over 60,000 miles of blood vessels in your body. I'm curious, how many miles of blood vessels did I lay down track for? I don't have that number, but really interesting to learn. As to my gut health, my akkermansia, before HBOT, it was not detectable. Afterwards, it was a 1,000% increase. Now, akkermansia is linked to gut barrier integrity and metabolic health. I had been taking an akkermansia supplement for 2 months, and it was still undetectable even before HBOT. Then after HBOT, it increased by 1,000%. The combination of the supplement plus HBOT dramatically improved the absorption into my body. Next, we looked at the dimension marker p-tau127. So this is a specific marker for Alzheimer's disease, and that declined by 28.6%. I was already below the reference range of someone indicating this was a risk for chronic disease, but still to see it go down that much was pretty dramatic. Now, in regards to skin health, I would say that was probably the most dramatic visual marker. I had read about the increased collagen production, the elastin, the reduced fragmentation from 90 to 10%, but then to see those variables take place in my own skin across my entire body, it just transformed the health of my skin across my body. We also use multispectral imaging to measure my UV skin damage, which improved by over 10% in the HPO protocol. Now, as it relates to telomeres, I'd like to explain a few details because I think it's worth you knowing. I had a baseline measurement in March of 2024, and my measurement was 11.4 kb. After HBOT, they measured at 11.7 kb. That's a 2.6% increase. Now, in the studies we looked at, people in this older population, 65 and older, experience up to 38% increase in telomere elongation. So it's not surprising that that age group would have a significant improvement, whereas I'm very healthy to begin with. Now, to give you context on 11.4 and 11.7, that is the age equivalent of a 10-year-old. So my telomeres, which are a significant representation of biological age and health, I'm already at a 10-year-old level. In the gain I had, which was basically 300 base pairs from 11.4 to 11.7, you have to consider is each of us lose between 20 and 40 base pairs each year. So I gained 300, which is roughly equivalent to a decade of aging. I explain this detail to you because telomeres really are something that's very exciting in the longevity community. Therapies that can actually elongate them are very promising. And so I want to give you context of where the study showed was possible and then what I experienced myself. Now that I've completed 60 sessions in 90 days, the question becomes, do I do more? Now, I've spoken to several experts and the truest answer is nobody really knows. Currently, the thought is 20 sessions every 3 months might be appropriate. What you're trying to do is to say, hey body, keep on producing the stem cells, keep on producing the VEGF, keep on producing blood cells. You're trying to prime the body just enough, but not too much. Now, I've learned this with Blueprint, is there's definitely the dose is the poison, the dose is the longevity benefit. So as we experiment with the continuation of this protocol, trying to figure out the right maintenance dose, as always, we will share the results with you. At this point, you may be pretty excited about HBOT, and if you are, I understand. I would be too. And what you want to do is you want to follow a certain protocol. People oftentimes make the mistake where their sessions are spread out too far apart. They need to be within some kind of constrained time frame for the benefits to accumulate. But now it can be expensive. I think clinics charge maybe in the range of a few $100s per session. So I hope that as HBOT increases in popularity, more centers open, systems become cheaper, and more people have greater accessibility. Now, as always, before you do HBOT, make sure you consult your doctor, as what you may do may be unique to your certain conditions. Now, one thing I know everybody's going to experience is you're going to try to find an HBOT provider that qualifies and meets your needs, and sometimes you can't find all the expertise you need. So we are working on this in building an endeavor called Blueprint Quantified. We want to certify clinics for taking an evidence-based approach in what they do. So we'll say if you're going to offer HBOT, you can be certified 1, 2, or 3, and this may change in time, but you're going to follow a protocol where you take a baseline measurement of markers, you do a given therapy, and then you measure again so that when you go to the clinic, you have a verifiable outcome. Did it work? Did it not work for the thing you're trying to address? This is going to improve healthcare. It's going to improve outcomes. It will make you and everyone else a better person in life.